Aries, hi, welcome to your reading. I've already laid the cards, so let's just dive straight in. You've got majors in three very important positions, and two aces, so it feels quite epic. Epic? Yeah, it's interesting energy. It's about steadiness and the ability to stabilize a new start, something like that. So here we go. Here you are in your internal world, the Eight of Wands. So feeling full of communication, and there's a lot of messages going to yourself about things, as if your brain is firing really fast. There's lots of aha moments, sort of revelations somehow, around something that you've been stewing on, perhaps. How this makes you act in the outside world is with disappointment over something to do with your family. So you can see here the Five of Cups looking at the three spilt cups. And it is to do with a sort of generational family thing. So maybe you've been thinking a lot about family and communicating internally with yourself a lot about family, because it's not, that card of communication was interior, so we're not really talking about necessarily what you're discussing with other people. It's just, we have those rich seams, those moments in life when everything seems to make sense to us. And I wonder whether you've gone through one of those periods recently. Maybe you're in therapy, maybe you've just had a few revelations and it's starting to kind of make sense. In the basis of the situation is the Knight of Pentacles. Now, the Knight of Pentacles holds everything steady, and he's like, it's as if he's holding the space and saying to you, you can do this, which I love. He's the kind of character that you want to have on side when you're going through these kind of revelations. He'll sort of make it feel safe. He'll keep all the structures around you consistent so that you're able to delve into things that might be a little bit more discombobulating. So, but also when I see him at the root of the reading, I suspect this is why you're doing it. Maybe you've had children recently, or maybe one of your children has said something to you that makes you want to look at all of these issues and clear them up and get things a little bit sort of more out in the open and not hidden anymore. Or maybe you're thinking of having children and that comes up for you, or I don't know why children, just what I'm saying is that his aim would be to make things steady. So not only does he hold them steady, but he wants to kind of solidify and look after things very well. And part of looking after things in a family is to look at the reality of what's gone before, patterns that we might be a bit unconscious of, and all of those kind of things. In the recent past, the Empress, the card of the mother. So maybe that is why this story is sort of bubbling out. I never know quite. I look at the cards and then I start speaking, and often something different comes out than I thought when I looked at them. So maybe when I see the card of the mother, maybe that is why you might have been talking to your own mother. You might have been thinking about mothering. One of your children might have said something, or you might be thinking about becoming a mother. Mothering seems not just mothering, parenting, but there's something about becoming a mother or thinking of one's children that I guess pushes you to make those kind of changes. It is also the Empress, a time of great harvest and bringing things to fruition and working on things that will bear fruit, in which case maybe it could even be a creative project. I mean, definitely a creative project. You could be an artist and you could be working on a series of paintings, and you are in that process considering your heritage, what's gone before you, any trauma in the family. I'll return to this mother card. It might mean something else, but it's there and we've spoken those words at the moment. Let's see what comes out next. Right, in the potential outcome, we have the Knight of Wands and the Judgment. I've been looking at my cards with my glasses just to see what jumps out. The Knight of Wands, I can see that his heel is sort of touching just onto the horizon, what would that mean? The horizon, stepping onto the horizon, as if you're in the future, or you can see something in the future that's starting to become real for you. The Knight of Wands is a card of furious action and great gusto and not much contemplation before you act, and very impulse driven. But this impulse is getting you somewhere into the future. Something on the on your horizon is being brought closer here. And there is then the card of Judgment, which is when we have an understanding. Maybe it's around this idea of your family. I'm looking here in this card, there's one little baby that doesn't have a face yet, right in the middle of those two people. You know, that could indicate for some people this unborn child. Maybe, very sadly, there was an unborn child for various reasons in your family, somebody that never, a child that never was born, whether there was a termination or a stillbirth or a premature birth, or even a child that didn't live very long. It's really unusual for this to come through to me. So that could be part of the trauma in your family, which of course would be enormously traumatic. There's some work called Family Constellations, which is really worth looking into. And I've only done it once, so I found it mind-blowingly amazing. And it's sort of a bit like drama therapy. You come together in a group, people you don't know necessarily. Well, I didn't know anyone. And when it's your turn, you sit in the middle and you talk about an issue in your family that you want to heal. And the facilitator, I believe, always asks, did anyone ever move countries? Was there any black sheep of the family that didn't get to express themselves? And I think within that, there is this idea of children that didn't live full term, children that didn't get to be seen and heard. And that brings to mind then Toni Morrison's wonderful book, Beloved, that I studied at university and I loved so much that it took me so long to read, even though it was part of my course, because some of the sentences, if you've never read it, she's just such an amazing writer. You just want to read them over and over. And it's about the idea of children not being able to be heard, children who are lost too early. I mean, it's obviously about much greater concepts. I won't ruin it for you. I encourage you to go and read it. It's amazing. In fact, I love it so much that I have copies here and in Italy, almost like a sort of talisman. Strange. Anyway, there might be some revelation that comes rushing in that could be about a child that didn't get its voice. It could be about somebody in the family who has something very childlike in them that isn't able to be expressed. It could be something in you from childhood that isn't able to be expressed. Wow, this is not the story I was expecting. Anyway, great. We're in, as I record this, in the period of eclipses, which does usually mean these sort of revelations and things being uncovered and lost or found in a very sort of surprising way. This is a general, so it will work whenever, but I'm just mentioning that. I mean, it's a timeless, but I'm just mentioning that in case you're seeing it quite quickly. And coming up in the near future is the Hanged Man. I'm really aware of Pamela Coleman Smith's signature here in the corner. Almost like if I moved that to the side, it would be something etched on a tree, which I do not approve of. I'm a big tree fan, but like you're finding someone's P loves S, or, you know, some sort of tender moment from people in the past that's happened outside somewhere and that they've etched onto a tree. Maybe Pamela Coleman Smith, if she was here, would say, I had things that were unacknowledged. She's an amazing woman. I need to read more about her. But in a way, she was very unacknowledged. That's it. That's why I'm saying her signature. This is what this is about. Unacknowledged parts of you or your family. That's exactly it. During her life, I think she died pretty penniless in the southernmost tip of England, you know, having created this incredible work of art that we all appreciate so much. And a lot of it without Waite's influence, because the whole of the minor arcana is hers. And she was a very wise and interesting woman who delved into these kind of spiritual concepts. So this wasn't you know, she really was putting in her own knowledge. So when I see her signature, and that makes me think of her being unacknowledged next to the Hangman coming up in the near future, where your perspective is totally changed, where you have to give up something in order to see things from a totally new perspective. It really compounds that message of people who are unacknowledged through a change of perspective suddenly coming into focus, which is wonderful and healing. And I really believe in the work of the family constellations, because it talks about when that voice is heard, when that person is finally given their understanding within a family system, then the behaviour that stems from their being ignored or othered or overlooked, that can come down the line in families, doesn't need to be repeated anymore, because that person has been heard. Very relevant to Beloved. Please read it if you haven't. Anyway, in your attitude, you were working on this. I think you have alighted on this as an idea, or you've been doing therapy for some time, and this shows something that has been going on for a long time. It hasn't quite reached fruition, but you're getting there. So well done. It's really amazing. And when I look at him, sometimes he looks impatient. No, here I see a little hopeful, almost sort of, oh, can I hope that this is about to bear fruit? Like, you can't believe it, but look how solid his legs are. He's committed to this process. In your environment, we have the moon. Yeah, it's a little bit murky when you do this kind of work. Any looking into families, however open the family is, there's always some thread of a story that can be quite surprising. And you're groping around in the dark to some extent, looking for a way of bringing this crayfish up from the depths, this moment of understanding that's going to get you on your path. There's great blessings in this. There's great blessings in doing this work. And it is the work of the artist. So when I mentioned the artist, when I was looking at the Empress before, maybe you are an artist, and so, or a writer, or somebody who deals with these depths in a professional sense. You could be a therapist, you could be doing tarot, or all sorts of things. You might bring this kind of work into your work. But yeah, it just shows that there's a little bit of groping around, and it's in a very emotional environment that you're in. And your attitude is so beautiful. You're sort of bringing something to the heart. You're offering to the heart. And if you are indeed doing family work, you will also be offering back to the previous generations. You are bringing your love, your understanding to your entire family. It's a generational thing. You heal forward and you heal backwards. You could be doing this for your child, for your lover, for yourself, but it is work of the heart. And what you want is a healed heart. You want to bring this communion wafer, this offer to this heart, so that then these strands of water can sort of flow out in those beautiful 5 strands and give to the collective, and those blessings. And yeah, it's beautiful, the work that you're doing. I love it. Well done. Oh, Aries and full moon, people. How could it be anything else? I slept so deeply last night. It's so strange and so early. And I mean, I did wake up a few times, but I've had hours and hours of sleep. I kept wanting to get up to look at the moon, and in that contrary way, that's when I decided to sleep all the way through. I thought at one point the moon was like this light that I've got lighting me up here. Just, it woke me up. It was so bright, illuminating things. And maybe this is the work of the full moon. So in your outcome, it's curious. We have a new start with the Ace of Pentacles. We have the King of Pentacles who keeps everyone safe. And yet in their midst is this impish 7 of Swords. It's just a stage. His bit is just a stage. Do you see those 2 lines? So it shows me in the outcome at the moment, this is work that's ongoing. There are still ideas from this dysfunction, from this hidden story that might trip you up in your way to creating family stability, looking after all parts of yourself and your family, your previous family, your ancestors, those to come after you. You've created this new start, but still, there might be bits that you still need to uncover, something that's still hidden, that's sneaky in the process. But we're going to cap these with a few cards, because I've got lots of lovely cards here. So much fun doing these readings, because I have a whole chest of drawers full of cards and oracles. This is beautiful. Look at this. A man looking at himself in a forest mirror. That says so much about what we're doing. But anyway, to finish my thought, it's fun because I can now share them with you on these readings, and I'm just picking a few every day and sticking to those and working with those. But I mean, when you share it, they become much more real, and I really have a lot. So there's so much to delve into. 2 of challenges. I think this is beautiful. I can already imagine what this is going to be about. At a glance, stalemate, inability to compromise, a pause for contemplation. Stalemate brings me to mind that 7 of Swords. Mirrors have a long history in the world of enchantments. While you may on occasion see other beings in the mirror, remember that it also has a magical power to truly see yourself, which is what I think we're doing here. Travelling through the forest, a young man suddenly comes upon a mirror, magic mirror, blocking his path. The looking glass hangs in midair with no visible means of support and no ways to remove it. The forest is thick with undergrowth here. He can't go forward, he can't go around, he doesn't want to go back, so he chooses the obvious solution. He looks into the mirror. He sees himself exactly as he is, no mystical vision or otherworldly entity, just his own startled, wide-eyed self. You may have gotten into a situation from which there is no obvious positive movement forward. This card signifies a pause for clarification, not about the situation, but about your place in it. You can't go further on this path until you have a long look at yourself. Stop being in denial about your own faults and failings. Stop distracting yourself to avoid facing the future. You will make better progress when you are clearer about your true intentions. So that's super interesting because, of course, when you're on these kind of journeys, often they're precipitated by some sort of block in your life or worrying about others, like your children or whatever, and maybe they have brought up something or somebody's brought up something to you that they don't like about you. And what this card is saying to me is that this little sneaky 7 of Swords that we see in the middle of this beautiful new start of tending and caring might be you not looking at your own behaviour in light of this, which will of course stem from whatever you've felt as a child and experienced as a child. But now, as adults watching this, I guess everybody's an adult, we have a area of, there's parts that we can clear up in our own behaviour that will have stemmed from dysfunction that we inherited. But we, doing this work, maybe what it's saying is there anything you can do now to change? Not just investigate how things have been wrong in the past or need to be cleared up, but what you can give. The white buffalo is the card of great blessings to your whole community. This is work that really bears fruit for everybody. And maybe, as I was saying, part of that is you doing your part to clean things up. So yeah, the white buffalo, he's a huge blessing. This is a moment of the whole tribe being able to be fed, being looked after, something wonderful coming to you all. And the tribe meaning your clan, chosen family or family. And what have we got here in this card? Bear spirit, healing. That's so lovely, it's healing. And look at that great big gruff bear that's just sitting placidly. So all these, the bear, and he looks so happy with this woman who's got her hand on his back. So it feels like the strength card. It feels like, these big frightening parts of yourself, your family behaviour that are just now perfectly comfortable and pacified. And both of these are in snowy environments, aren't they? So at times of everything dropping off, when we can see the truth in the winter, when we can contemplate things. I'm noticing his ribs. They're very noticeable. He needs to be fed now. He needs to be fed. What's that about? So the story needs to be fed. He wants to be acknowledged, that need. And that might be about a child or a young part of some part of this story that hasn't been acknowledged, now needs feeding, but looks happy to have at least been found and acknowledged and held safely. Oh no, I tell you what we're going to do next is the Rachel Pollock Shining Tribe, because she's slightly denser, and then we'll go to the Divine Muses afterwards, up to having said, yeah, there we go, the awakening. This is the judgment that we've got in your potential outcome with those figures, that understanding. And the Six of Birds. Let's dive into these. What beautiful work you're doing. So good. Six of Birds, the awakening, which is number 20. The Devil. Oh, here we go. The awakening. This is just, I'm going to read little tiny bits of this. Transformation, a moment, possibly an event that brings a life, a change that has built up over a long period of time, joining with others, responsibility. That kind of sums up the entire reading, doesn't it? You're doing this transformational work, you're joining dots in your family, helping your clan, whether they're chosen or your own, your ancestors, maybe it's your heritage, maybe it's your people in a much larger sense, and joining with others. And then finally, responsibility, that we also have responsibility in this. The three celebrate the spirit that fills their world with joy. Together they rise from the underworld, just as Persephone rose with her beacon of hope, the star. Here, hope fulfills itself. This is a card of realization of the actual experience of seeing the world in a new way, of an action or a shift of perception, Hangman, that changes every detail in a person's life. The urban setting and the presence of the family imply community and responsibility to others. When we awaken, we understand our connections to the earth, to the people around us, to our society, to the web of life, breathing and sleeping and walking all across the world. I just love this. I love this. And the child in between them, you know, I can't help but think about Pamela Coleman Smith keeps coming to mind, those that are unacknowledged. And then the Five of Rivers. Where did we have the fives? Oh yes, those 5 streams coming out of your cup, your Ace of Cups, which is like 5 rivers, isn't it? 5 rivers. 5 of Stones, 5 of Birds, 5 of Rivers. And the little meaning here is accepting loss, adapting to new situations, grief, but also greater understanding, self-knowledge. Well, I guess in this process there will be, you know, it's the hard bits that get buried, isn't it? It's always the bits we can't bear to look at. And if it was a child that was lost too soon for whatever reason, there's grief here. In the Shining Tribe Tarot, the rigidity has given way to acceptance. The river flows up and down but remains one river, just as our lives are a river with many turns. As creatures of water, the fish adapt to the bends. The card helps us accept where we are at this time in our lives, reminding us at painful moments that no situation remains forever. In the famous words of the Anglo-Saxon bard who had lost his place at court, this too shall pass. The spiral of fortune spirals up to brighter consciousness, an implication of action to come. Here the head spirals down and inwards like the snake of the high priestess. This is the card of quality introspection and discovery of self. Well, it's the work you're doing, but I think what it's bringing to us is the idea of, it even talks here. This is the 5 of Cups, so this is the card that we had crossing you, where you were, we're looking at disappointment within our family because it came with the 10 of Pentacles. And here it's saying, in the tarot deck, the 5 of Cups shows an image. In many tarot decks, it shows the image of loss and the need of acceptance because you don't look round. This shows, the famous Rider version shows the card depicts a sorrowful figure standing rigidly in a dark cloak while they look down at 3 spilled cups. Behind the figure, unnoticed, stand 2 upright cups. And it's saying, so this story is now, through understanding the story, through looking at all these bends and accepting the loss, that's when accepting the loss is how we turn around and look at those 2 cups. So that's really beautiful. It's talking about when you do this work, it does totally transform things for yourself and everybody else. This is really, really important major work. Well done. So then we have the Divine Muses that are one of these decks that I just adore and haven't really worked that much with, but I've pulled a few cards recently and they're just so lovely. And here we have Lionheart. So we've got a lion face with a headdress and a bird on the hand. So it's making me think of the Nine of Pentacles and the Strength card. And the lion's looking at a window, almost like prison bars. Let's see. I really don't know these, so that's just my initial impression. Then it'd be exciting to see whether I've found anything there. So Lionheart, 87. 87. Strength, courage, loyalty. Well, you need that in this process, don't you? Strength and courage and loyalty to your clan. Lionheart is a card of courage, strength and loyalty. It's about embodying a kind, caring, forgiving nature, forgiving those that have gone past, and at the same time being daring and speaking the truth even if it isn't pleasant. If this card appears, it may indicate that we want to connect passionately with a cause that we believe in and may even want to devote our life to. It could be about something we care deeply about, or perhaps it's even about confronting a difficult task with heart, even when we fear the outcome. If this card shows up in your reading, it may be time to examine your loyalty to your community. That's interesting. Examine your loyalty to it. Are you a productive part of it? How cooperative are you? Lions in nature are devoted to their pride. They work together strategically to catch their meals. They're protective, but also patient and loving with their cubs, the young. Those traits may be developing in you. This reflects in how faithful you are to the people in your life. Take note, you might be aligning with the spirit of the lion. What's interesting about lions is that they do not engage in fighting just for sport. They typically avoid conflict and bypass danger whenever possible. This too may be your modus operandi. Oh, I'm getting a really funny twitch in my eye. Right eye, what's that about? If there's been contention, Lionheart's message is to feel into your heart, to sense if the situation warrants confrontation. See if whatever is happening is a result of opposing beliefs. It is possible there's a difference of opinion, and it's probably not worth fighting about. Sometimes it's better to saunter away. Effort spent when there's little to gain is effort wasted. So I think that's saying when you discover these things, it's about not blaming somehow. It's about understanding and not apportioning the blame somewhere, that sometimes it's not worth it. And then it just says about the portrait, this is a stately and anonymous woman peering from a window in 1910, but I've transformed, the artist transformed her. Her head's been exchanged with that of a lioness, symbolising an alignment with the animal's energies. Like that bear, that wild animal, the bear that we saw. That's interesting. The bear and the buffalo, these big wild animals, big, huge animals, lining with those animals. A small hawk is a sign of divine connection. And a golden headdress suggests the sun. Lions are usually associated with gold, the sun, and also Leo rules Leo. The Leo rules the heart, which we see in the collar necklace centered with a precious jewel. Lionheart is like Sekhmet, the ancient Egyptian Lionheart goddess. She was a sun goddess with powers of destruction and creativity, and presented feminine courage and protection as well as the wisdom of heart. That takes us back to the Empress. But it's also talking about these wild animal hearts, these blessings. And 1910, could that be a part of your story? Did something happen to you? Maybe the twitching eye in 1910 might be for somebody quite significant. You might want to look back into your family history with that. I'm going to get 2 more little cards, or however many want to come from or 1 or 2 from the Little Rider-Waite. Restored. I think that's it. I think we're just going to leave it at that. It's saying no more disappointment. We've just got the family restored, the 10 of Pentacles restored, in order, everyone looked after. If you do this work, that's where you get to. How gorgeous. Brilliant. I know it's hard work, but it's well worth it. Thank you.